This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Say PTBN, have you heard them yet? Oh, but they're so marked out. Jenny and the Gems. Oh, but they're weird and they're wonderful. Oh, Jenny, she's really green. She's got electric boobs, the network too. You know I read it in the dirt. She's a hoe. Jenny and the Gems.
Hi, welcome to Jenny and the Gems. My name is Jenny, and I'm here with my beautiful gems. Hi, Scott. Hi, Drew. Hi, Matt. How are you guys?
Thank God that no one has taken over the fucking internet. The internet can't get sick, because if we had to stop podcasting at this point, I'd probably jump off a fucking fire station.
No, I wouldn't be able to handle that at all.
I don't know. My internet was sick about 15, 20 minutes ago, so I mean...
I heard. Velvety.
What
We'll
makes
talk about
it
that
just
later.
drop out like that? You know, that happens to me all the time. Just like, internet not connected. Like what? Like we were doing this 5 minutes ago. What is the deal? I'll never understand that.
Well, on behalf of Jenny and all of our gems, we hope everyone's safe and everyone's doing well, because we don't know when this is ending. So if you're listening to this, you're in good shape. So
I was hesitating. Like, what do we like? Do we acknowledge things, or do we not? Because like, if y'all are like me, then this is kind of like an escape from all of that, and you're just trying to talk about wrestling with your friends. But then if you don't acknowledge it, it feels kind of insensitive. So, probably just some awkward jokes probably work. That's usually how I'll handle things.
On it.
Any solution involves awkward. We're in good shape. It's all good.
We're all going to be using socks as toilet paper soon, so, I mean...
What do you mean soon?
Well...
You can buy things at the dollar store, so...
Thank God for the dollar store.
I know. Buy a lot of things at the dollar store.
So, just as an aside, this is not our first attempt to record this edition of Jenny and the Gems, and even another incarnation of Jenny and the Gems. Like, we had a show picked out originally to watch, and then I got halfway through it, and I was just like, you guys, this show sucks so bad, and I refuse to let our listeners be subjected to that. It was like, the point of the show is hidden gems, not hidden bullshit that you don't need to be watching. So, I'm just going to say there's a lot of thought and care put into this show, and we don't want to watch shit that's just not fun to watch. Agreed?
Agreed.
Should we tell them what it was to tell them to avoid it, you think?
Oh, that might be a good idea. It was, which I have my wrestling notebook right here, it was the NWA AWA Night of Champions 2 from December 29th, 1985. In which I have all these notes, and I was just bored to death watching that show. And, I mean, there was some fun things on there, but, I mean, Sherry Martel obviously being the highlight of that, but...
Well, it's a famous show because that's when Stan Hansen beats Rick Martel for the AWA title. Yeah. But
that's your famous moment, Drew.
Yes,
famous for you, Drew.
But I mean, it's not a very enjoyable show.
I did have a 3.25 star match on there with the Rock and Roll Express and the Long Riders, but
yes, I agree with that. The problem with that show was you had a Midwest and I said this to you guys. You have a Midwest promotion and a Southern promotion doing a show at the Meadowlands. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's weird.
Do it in Charlotte or do it in fucking St. Paul or something. But why you do it in right in the hotbed, right in the meat and potatoes of Hulkamania in late 1985? Crockett's awesome. But the AWA is, it wasn't garbage, but it wasn't the most lively.
There's good stuff, but it wasn't. It was on its way down.
But you know what's funny? I feel like it must have been like AWA production because it looked like crap. Usually Crockett stuff looks nice and crisp. That stuff looked like fucking like the Breakfast Show looked better than this garbage.
It did.
It looked. I mean, this looked fucking terrible. It didn't. I mean, think about it, Suze. It didn't even look like a Meadowlands house show. Like WWF does better shows there.
It looked like it was in a studio or something.
Yeah, it looked like garbage. So that was one thing. Number two, as Jenny said, the matches were, and I hate digging against anybody in Crockett because I mean they're awesome, but like even I can't believe I'm saying this. Please do not strike me down with coronavirus, but even this Flair Dusty match was pedestrian.
I didn't even.
It was totally by the numbers.
Yeah, they were all running on autopilot.
Yeah, for the two of them to do an autopilot match, you really must suck the fucking meat missile on a show. If you're putting two of the greatest of all time doing a 2.5 stars, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and there was no one cared about it because it wasn't in North Carolina or in the South at all. And then you had the Rock and Roll Express and the Long Riders, and there was no feud around that. They were just put up. Like, I don't even know. I don't think they had even had any matches before that with each other. So it was just purely going in and doing an exhibition match, in front of a crowd that doesn't care and maybe doesn't even know them necessarily.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way to put it. It felt like a night of exhibition matches.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did. It absolutely did. There was nobody to make fun of in the crowd except that chick with the with wearing Ric Flair's mink or whatever the hell it was.
What'd you call her, Matt?
Oh God, the hose beast
in
the world's largest fur coat.
Yeah, in Flair's fur coat. Yeah.
That was Matt's one defense of us watching the show. He's like, but we can make fun of this fat chick in this fur coat. I'm like, baby, we can't do that for 2 hours.
For 2 hours of the same fan, yeah. And
I mean, I could challenge accepted.
And I know, and I know, Drew, and my apologies, I wasn't throwing a dig at your boy, the Lariat, because Stan Hansen's fucking awesome. But you don't give, and this has nothing to do with the show itself, but because the match with Martel wasn't terrible. I mean, Ricky had as what's his name called him, Ricky Martel. He had the belt for about 1.5 years at that point. He had beaten Jumbo Saruta in '84 somewhere. But you don't give a promotions world title to a gypsy. And I love Stan Hansen just as much as you do, Drew. But he was a gypsy, just like Bruiser Brody. You don't give a world title to a guy that hangs around for 8 months and realizes, wow, this paycheck sucks. I'm going back to Japan. Like, you don't do that. That was just a dumb Vern move, one of many dumb Vern moves in the mid to late '80s.
He was not to be trusted with a belt in America.
Right. No,
Japan's a different story, obviously, but
yeah. No, Bob and Inoki were paying him a fuck ton in the from like '84 to like '92.
Do you know how much he was making? He was making, it was in the '80s, $20,000 a week.
Meanwhile, I kept talking about his fat wife and his ugly kids. And all he cut in AWA promos was his fat wife and his ugly kids.
He's not into that ego trip. Nope. He's got a fat wife and 9 kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Jenny's right. I mean, even a good Crockett show, even if it was promoted as a heavy Crockett show, it was like watching like snow melt. It was not good.
All right, so don't watch that show, but we kind of pivoted. Initially, this was, I guess it kind of technically still is. At the time of recording, things are subject to change. As of right now, we just discovered that this year's WrestleMania will be 2 nights in Orlando at the PC, and which is fucking ridiculous. And so, anyway,
it's Warehouse Mania.
Yeah. So we were like, we want to do something maybe Mania related. So we settled on the March to WrestleMania 9 Hidden Gem, which you can find on the network under Hidden Gems. It was aired on the USA Network on March 28th, 1993, 7 days prior to WrestleMania 9, but it was filmed on March 7th in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So that's kind of where we're at. We're like, we want to do, this is, for what it is, WrestleMania season, so why not some of this content? Had any of you guys ever seen this March before?
Yes, I've seen it at least 5 or 6 times, so I knew it pretty well.
You had seen it, where had you seen it previously, on a tape or?
No, I watched it live.
Oh,
I watched it live that Sunday night, yep. And then I've seen it on tapes. The PIC, Mr. Zero, he's got a copy floating around that him and I watched, and I watched it, elsewhere. There's matches on DVDs, so it's around. It's not as hidden per se as it seems, but it's definitely not something you could easily find. But I watched it live. It was the first time I watched it.
Well, that's interesting. I think maybe besides the Tony up all nighter or whatever, a couple of us had watched that before, but this is the one that one of us really knew it. Really knew what was going on. Matt, Drew.
No, I had never seen it before.
Yeah, I'd seen bits and pieces of it, but never the full show.
Well, obviously I hadn't either, and I like this format. I like the idea of this show that is leading you up to WrestleMania and kind of recapping all the storylines, giving you some matches that are previews for what you're going to see at WrestleMania. So it was fun in that aspect. I really like watching that. So we will get started with Vince McMahon and Bobby Heenan, our commentators, and what a pair they are on this night.
Always.
Yeah. They show the Wrestling Challenge contract signing between Bret Hart and Yokozuna. To begin with, we get some footage of that, and they did this weird green screen effect with Vince and Bobby. I don't know. That was kind of odd. It reminded me of other green screen things that we had seen previously on the show. What do you guys think about this opening contract signing footage?
I thought it was just fine. I mean, so I have no idea what the lead up to WrestleMania IX is for anything. So
same.
Yeah. I mean, and we'll talk about this time and time again on this show, but they did a good job of setting up the match. Mm-hmm. It's okay. You kind of know what's going on. You get, obligatory contract signing WWF tropes, and that's it. Yeah. Very good.
What do you think, Scott?
Well, the focus was definitely on putting Bret and Yoko over in their respective slots. Just to give you a little background, Yoko was in the AWA as Coquina Maximus, and then he debuted in the WWF in probably like September or October of '92, and he made his pay-per-view debut at the Survivor Series. He crushed Virgil, and at that point, I think it was pretty clear to Vince that he was going to strap the rocket ship to this guy as his big heel. He was perfect. He was big fucking guy, kills, jobbers. Fuji was his manager. I mean, he was perfect. And with a kind of a dearth of heels at the time in the company, at least main event for the most part, because Flair was leaving. Flair was gone by the end of January. Perfect was hurt, although obviously he was a babyface at that point. Razor was kind of focused on other stuff, and he fought Bret at the Rumble. Yoko was the guy that was going to do it. So Yoko wins the Rumble in Sacramento. On the same path, that October, Bret had beaten Flair to win his first world title. And so really this was a great signing because not only was it cool to watch, but it was a good chance at the moment to put over the two guys. Because Bret was, this was and we'll talk about this throughout the show, this was a crapshoot mania for Vince. Kind of like this year's. Because for the first time, and Suze, you can back me up too on this, Hogan was we'll talk about Hogan later on, was not the focal point of the show. Vince was totally trusting a longtime employee to be his workhorse face against this relatively brand new heel. And this was an important show to do because there was a lot of new variables to work into the mix. So this part of it was really good for both Brett and for Yoko.
What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I liked it too. I liked how they, you look at Yoko and Brett, obviously Yoko's the favorite. He's 600 pounds, monster human being. But I like how Brett took the bonsai drop and was still able to claw himself up and show that he can still take it. And, he'll be able to, in theory, go up against Yoko and keep up with him. So I like that. And I thought it was a good signing and good build to the main event.
All right, well, we're going to see him, Yokozuna that is, in action against Macho Man Randy Savage. I mean, that's a pretty good opener. Just saying. Macho Man never disappoints, in my opinion. So, his outfit is wild, of course, in this. I think, Scott, you mentioned that you hated that his boots did not match his outfit here.
No, they didn't. No, his tights were, blue and yellow, and his boots had, hearts on them or something? I don't know. It was really weird. They were, pink.
Pink, yeah. I will admit, I mean, of course, Macho Man wears some weird shit, but yeah, not his best look, I don't think. But who can look at Macho Man when fucking Yokozuna is in there? The guy is, super intense, ginormous, with surprisingly dainty feet. I don't know why I was struck by that, but I was. But he is not impressed by Randy. Doesn't seem scared of him. It's just another fucking thing to do. He's just he doesn't care. He's just doing his thing. Of course, you got Mr. Fuji there with him, and he comes into play later in the match. Hits Savage with the flag. And then Yoko wins with the belly-to-belly. Stomps on Savage after the match. Attempts the bomb on him, but Savage gets out of the way. Knocks him to the outside. I really like the refs holding Savage back as Yoko stumbles into the locker room at the end. So, a pretty fun opener. I gave it 2 stars, for doing stars. What do you think, Matt?
I like this, and I thought it was really shrewd booking. Savage got almost 0 offense in this match. Yoko just pretty much killed him in 6-7 minutes, and I thought that was a pretty shrewd move going into Yoko's big title match at Mania. But I like this. It was a good piece of business. And I didn't understand why Savage got the upper hand after the bell. I think Yoko should have just kept killing him. If you're gonna beat him that quickly, you might as well go all the way with it.
I was kind of thinking that too, but then Savage just loses so well that I kind of hate to see it. But then, kind of want, part of you kind of just really wants him to get something in. You know what I'm saying? Even though it doesn't make sense, it's still Savage. It's oh, come on, give me something. So I kind of liked what they did at the end.
The thing, too, is that at this point, this wasn't Randy Savage 88, 89.
Right.
This was Savage 93, 94, 93 and 94. He's, on his way out, back burner, barely wrestling on TV, doing commentary, stuff like that. So, but
I think they just did it out of respect. What do you think, Drew?
So the thing about this show is the wrestling is largely incidental to me. Mm-hmm. There's so much other stuff that I enjoyed better, and I think it's more important. So the match was fine. I didn't like you guys talked about, I didn't like that the last image you see before, presumably, this is the march to WrestleMania, this is the build-up show, that the last image you see of Yokozuna is having not beaten Randy. He beat Savage, but he didn't quite get the upper hand at the end, so he's kind of stumbling around to the back, like you said. I don't think that's necessarily the image that you want to leave in the viewers' minds, especially when it's a huge monster heel like that, who was undefeated, right, up to that point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't really like that, but
You agree, Scott?
Well, just as a side note, we have to remember that they kind of put this match together because Savage was the last guy that Yoko eliminated to win the Rumble. So from a creative perspective, it made sense anyway. Even though, and I love Savage to death. He was number one on my greatest of all time list. But why are you going for a pin attempt at the Rumble? For fuck's sake, Savage! It's like the fourth time you've done that in your career. For Christ's sakes. Having said that, I don't get Savage needing his heat back either. I mean, that was kind of stupid, but. Yoko's a fucking animal. I mean, it's 6:37 the match time, by the way, according to Graham. And that's all you needed. Just a nice, tidy 6.5 minutes of Savage getting killed. Do you think maybe... I have to ask you this, our beloved host. Do you think that Yoko's feet are dainty because he has gigantic calves? Maybe his feet are big, but his calves are bigger? Because I don't think Yoko has anything dainty on him.
Yeah, that's why.
Maybe his ponytail.
Because I kept being like overwhelmed by his size, and then I would look at his feet, and I'm like, how are those feet holding up this massive person? Like, I don't. Maybe it's just the relation between the feet. Maybe if he was not that large, it wouldn't seem that way. But it does look that way.
Giant calves. Yeah.
Yes.
But, no, good match.
He does have giant calves. All right. So, leaving that, we go to, Drew's favorite part of the evening, I'm sure. A video recap of Lex Luger.
An incredible video recap,
one.
you mean?
I was tempted to fast forward through it, but I sat through it.
Oh, please.
You didn't even like the
Drew
narcissist.
watched it in slow-mo.
You did.
Oh, yeah.
It is kind of cool, I will admit, with the whole mirrored, like the 3 mirrored gimmick and, the whole narcissist thing. It's, but then...
He's incredible. He's incredible as the narcissist. That run of his is so good. And I have not seen a lot of 93 WWF, but I have seen Lex Luger as the narcissist or in that whole run. Mm-hmm. And it's like his squash matches are awesome. His entrance is awesome. Everybody hates him because, look at him. It's like his backstage demeanor at the time would lead to this character. I mean, it's like purely who he is. It's great. And especially coming off like the WBF stuff and all that. Ugh, so good.
I guess I wouldn't be opposed at that specific, like you said, that character of Lex Luger. Like, it was interesting enough in that video package that I was like, well, maybe I might watch a couple of matches from that time frame. Not against that, but still kind of wary. Anyway, next up we have Skinner versus Mr. Perfect, who is a recent favorite of mine. I was just won over by Mr. Perfect. I think as everybody is, but he...
Perhaps for different reasons.
Yeah, well...
Come on.
The gear on Skinner here, which I feel like probably is his character, and that's why he's wearing what he's wearing, but it's really bad. It's like khakis and a belt, the tucked in, torn up shirt. Is that his normal look? I don't know anything about Skinner.
That's his gimmick. He's backwards.
Yeah, he's a bayou, a bayou hunter.
Yeah, I picked up on that.
Chocolate in the can.
Yeah.
Hey, is that Steve Kern?
Yes, it is.
I never knew that.
FCW Steve Kern. Yes, as in the fabulous one, Steve Kern. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I had no idea that Skinner was Steve Kern until I watched this. I hadn't seen him before, but it hit me like, whoa, boy, that's Steve Kern, isn't it? Huh,
crazy, right?
How about that? Yeah.
And he's fun to watch here, I will admit. And I thought that Mr. Perfect did a really good job at, just hanging with them, and they had a decent amount of chemistry to me. Like, I really enjoyed watching them. It wasn't bad, actually, and I liked the way that Skinner used his belt during the match. Although Vince and Bobby just talked about Luger the whole time, which I guess they were supposed to, but I did find it quite annoying because I was kind of into what they were doing in the ring, and all they wanted to do was talk about Lex Luger. Like, shut the fuck up. But Mr. Perfect does the Plex for the win, of course. Another 2 stars from me. What do you think, Scott?
I'll give this 2.5. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah,
what's our length here? Let's see. It was Perfect Skinner 402. So a quickie, but a good one though. Yeah, it was a good match to get Perfect kind of over as a babyface because kind of a new thing for him. He hadn't been really a babyface since the AWA days when he was teaming with Scott Hall. And Skinner's just a good hand. I mean, as Drew was saying, Steve Keirn is a great hand. He works well in the ring, and he was a good worker regardless of his wardrobe, which was different. But you're fun. The way you described it, Jenny, made me laugh. It's like khakis and a belt.
I mean, when I think backwoods, I don't think khakis and a belt. You know what I mean? Like, because I got the feeling that's what his gimmick was, but then it just doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Like, I don't know.
The gimmick is he wears a belt.
A belt with khakis.
Khakis. But good match, though. Good match. Solid.
Matt?
So I was unaware Skinner was still around at this point, number one. And I thought there was interesting storytelling in this on commentary with Heenan saying that Skinner was paid off by Luger to take out Perfect before Mania. And I thought that was pretty neat. And I liked the match. It was pretty good back and forth. Skinner got some good jabs in. He stabs Perfect in the eye with the alligator claw, and then eventually, of course, Perfect hits the Perfect Plex. But I like this. It was pretty good.
Do you agree, Drew?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, two pros. Going out and having a 4-minute TV match. And I mean, they worked. You could tell that they were kind of on another level than everyone else on the show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was 4 minutes long, but it was 4 non-stop minutes.
Yep. Right.
So, very cool. And I was... I couldn't get over my shock of knowing that Steve Keirn was Skinner.
A jack of all trades.
Yeah,
right.
Learn something new every day. All right, after this, we get, I think there's a Hogan hype video in here that my only note says, "This is so fucking cheesy." Which...
Where had he been at the time?
Well, he was gone after... He left after WrestleMania 8 when he beat Sid. And he did a couple of interviews with Vince out of April of '92, and then he was gone. He was gone. He was off camera for the rest of '92, and then showed up on Raw after Money Inc. Smashed Beefcake in the face because they were pumping up the whole face surgery thing with the Halliburton. That's when Jimmy Hart turned face, and I think the following week on Raw, so like the third or fourth episode of Raw, might have been the night after the Rumble, I think, Hogan came back, and you could tell Hogan was considerably smaller than he was.
Well, yeah. I was going to say, this must be the debut of thinned out...
Yep, it was.
Like WCW Hogan.
Yep, Cycle Down Hogan made his debut in early '93. Yeah, he was off the sauce because everybody was getting pinched. So... Yeah, he was cycling off, and he was definitely the non-bloated Hogan from pretty much 84 to 92. So, and, yeah, and they, every Hogan montage is cheesy. Although I have to say, you have to admit, Jenny, when you were on the Place Be podcast, and they did the earthquake montage before SummerSlam 90. That was not cheesy.
No, no. Earthquake is never cheesy. What are you talking about? But I mean, it was brief. I mean, it wasn't like a whole. I called it a hype video, but it was more like a teaser.
Right.
It was like a commercial, basically.
Yeah,
right?
sort of.
Yeah, it was a promo. It was like a.
Was that the one where the announcer says that Hogan has filled more arenas than Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, and George Foreman combined?
Correct. Yep.
Good God.
Is that accurate?
The green screen. No, not even close.
Okay.
No, not even close.
Laying it on a little thick there, Vinnie Mac.
Yeah, that's kayfabe. That's 93,000 Silverdome kayfabe right there. But yeah, it was more like a 15-second teaser, and Hogan, of course, the silhouette of his of his patented move where he sticks his ham. It was definitely like quintessential Hogan circle jerk, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right, so then we're back in the ring, and then we get this in-ring promo from Reverend Slick, who is preaching to us, and Vince says, "Testify," and
Testify.
in a moment that made me giggle. It was hilarious. And then Slick saying WrestleMania also popped me pretty big. And it made me wonder, is he a preacher in real life? Like, does he have experience doing this? Is this his shoot job? Is he really a preacher?
I think he is.
I could see
Eventually
it.
he was.
Eventually, yeah.
He sold me on it because I was like, it legit looks like he's in church. He's preaching right now. So I believed that. He's Kamala is his new convert, but Kamala won't come out. Slick has to run to the back and get him to come out to the ring. I was a little confused by that. What was the purpose of that?
You see, because Kamala doesn't know what he's doing.
He's just a dummy, kind of, like savage.
Well, when Kamala was a heel and being led by Kimchi, who he would wrestle in this match, he was pretty much assigned to attack. Drew could back this up. Those days in World Class in the mid '80s, he was. He was a killer. Same when he was in Mid South as well. So when he turned babyface here, it was more like a rudderless ship, and he needed good babyface guidance, and that's why Reverend Slick came in. Slick came back in, I would say probably August or September of '92, I think, because he had left after a while in late '91, I think, and maybe it was early '92, and so he had come back as a babyface as well. He was, of course, awesome heel Slick. Pimp Daddy himself. So that's kind of what it was. He, Kamala had spent his whole career being ordered around by Kimchi to do his bidding, which was attack baby faces, and now he, as a good guy, he didn't know what to do. So that's kind of what that was.
There was really good storytelling to that effect in this match. Like, me, I don't know any of this stuff, so it did a really good job, especially Vince and Bobby on commentary did a good job at, filling me in on their backstory and what I was supposed to be, getting from this match. And, for what it was, I didn't hate it. Kimchi is another interesting gear choice here. I had questions about his headgear. What the fuck is he wearing on his face?
Kimchi?
Yeah.
He wore a mask for years. The gimmick was a mask. He wore a mask forever. He wore a mask whenever Kimchi kind of debuted, which was, oh Jesus, what is it, Suze? Drew, 83, probably.
Yeah,
early '84.
Yeah.
When Kamala debuted in mid to late '83 in either Mid South or World Class. Yeah, well, it was his name was Friday, like Friday, like Robinson Crusoe Friday, and he wore a mask that whole time. That was the gimmick. That way you could have that way. It didn't matter who went. It didn't matter where Kamala was, what promotion. You could just stick a mask on some fucking stiff, and he could be Kimchi. So that was the whole gimmick. Steve Lombardi was Kimchi for a long time. In WWF. Yeah,
that's a shame.
I know, isn't that sad? We think so much of you. Put on this mask, Steve. Get out of Pat's lap. No, never mind.
But I thought Kamala did a really good job at like not knowing what he was supposed to be doing. Like he tries to pin him wrong a bunch of times. And he rolls him over, and then he looks very confused. Like it wasn't like it wasn't funny, but it wasn't not funny. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't kind of meant to be comedy to me. Like I kind of felt bad for him, if that makes sense. Like, you know, I don't know, but I enjoyed it. Like for what it was, I gave it a star, and I didn't mind it. I really liked the story. What do you think, Drew?
Well, I don't remember a single thing about this.
Well, I mean,
so
I can't blame you.
I'll default to you guys.
Matt?
It was a quick squash.
Yeah, nothing more, nothing less. It's fine.
Yeah.
It was like 2 minutes long, if that.
Yeah, it was Phil. It was pretty much Phil.
Yeah. And they keep... This is... At this point, I think they mentioned Kamala versus Bam Bam at WrestleMania.
Right.
Which is a match that never happens.
Nope, didn't happen.
WrestleMania 9.
Really?
And they spend a ton of time talking about it on this show, which is super weird.
Why didn't it happen?
Because it got cut for time.
Oh. Well, fuck.
So, which begs the question... At WrestleMania 9, why wouldn't you just cut Razor and Backlund?
Better match.
Yeah, I know, but just spending 15 minutes talking about Kamala and Bam Bam, it probably would have been 3 minutes either way.
Or Vince could have been like, I eventually need to make this show 6 hours. Because in 32 years, we're going to have a 6-hour show.
And split it between
in 32 years, it's going to be 2 nights in a warehouse in Orlando.
Yeah. We're going to get some tight end for the Boston Red Sox or something. I don't know. He's a friend of some jobber I work for.
Who's he playing for? He plays for the Zephyrs, right?
The Zephyrs. Who's his friend? Mojo who? I thought I fired his ass. Wish you did. But yeah, it was not uncommon, Jenny, during this stretch for matches to be cut for time. Because you got to think, you're here in the network world, but back in the straight pay-per-view days, as we can attest, time was money. So
it had to be under 3 hours, or you were screwed.
Yeah, or you had the end of Halloween Havoc '98. So. Yeah, so if the match didn't... Because they cut a match the following year, WrestleMania 10. They cut the 10-man, which they would have on Raw the next... I'm going to check that. I wonder if that Kamala Bigelow match was on Raw the next night, because that's usually what Vince did. There was a 10-man tag that was supposed to be at WrestleMania 10, which was the next night on Raw. So I'm wondering if they did that. I'll have to take a look at that. But that's what it was. It's for time purposes, because back then, pay-per-view satellite windows were not cheap. So he had to prioritize. Maybe Suze, because Razor was kind of over. He just had a title match at the Rumble. You can't really leave him off. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting.
If you do find that match, let me know, because I might want to watch that.
Yeah, let me
see.
Oh yeah.
It might suck, but I might want to watch.
Oh, of course it will, but that's not the point.
Yeah.
Natalie Cole, the scheduled match between Kamala and Bam Bam Bigelow was canceled. Let's see, Raw the next night. That was a challenge. They did a challenge taping the next day. They didn't do Raw the next night? Oh, no, I don't think they did Raw the next night.
No, because wasn't Mania on a Monday or something?
No, it was a Sunday night, but something happened.
It?
Yeah, something happened, though. Because the next night was a challenge taping in Phoenix. Then the night after that was a Superstars taping in Tucson. Maybe Raw wasn't... Then they went to France. This is fucking weird.
Jesus, they had to do a 4-hour challenge taping after spending the night in Vegas. Good Lord.
Poughkeepsie, Mid-Hudson Civic Center, 4/12/93. Let's see. Taker, Giant Gonzalez. Brett Razor was on the dark match for that, 4/12. So there wasn't a Raw the following night, it looks like. Tatanka pinned, let's see, Scott Steiner beat IRS. All right, I'll have to look for it, but... Oh, no, Bigelow fought Ray Apollo. Really? Or Phil Apollo, whatever his fucking name is. I don't know, Jenny. I think that match just kind of vanished into history.
Aw, sad. Well, it's fine.
Super weird.
Yeah.
Very weird.
So, after the Kamala match. They do this like abnormally long WrestleMania hype video, which I know is like the whole point of the show, but it's like, boy, it lasted a bit, and it was just like set up, for everything, like showing like clips of stuff and whatever. But it had this weird like pop, like rap music under it. It just took up way too much time.
Suze, you didn't recognize it?
Oh, the song? Oh, of course I did.
Yeah,
Jenny.
WrestleMania. It was the WrestleMania theme song.
It's the WrestleMania theme song.
Yeah,
it's not.
You don't
great.
recognize you don't recognize Duggan talking in it? That's what fucking JR uses every time.
No, I did. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
did.
what it is. It's on.
Yeah.
It's on WrestleMania the album.
Yeah.
That was like the big song.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, so they were using both WrestleMania, because the old WrestleMania theme opened the show. Then they played this WrestleMania theme, the newer one. I thought that didn't start till WrestleMania 11. Is that right, or were they using it as the primary theme song?
No, it opened WrestleMania 10. It opened WrestleMania 10 too.
Yeah, it did.
Oh, okay. I love this song.
Really?
I love it.
It is funny.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. Hey, let me say one thing about this show and that song and everything. So I was a WCW watcher growing up, and so I've actually, of course, sure. But so I don't have a lot of like the nostalgic attachment to WWF stuff that a lot of people do. Their ability to, like, I watched this show, which I had never seen before. I have seen WrestleMania IX, but I don't have any strong attachment to it. But their ability to make me, I mean, I watched it and I felt nostalgic watching it for the first time. And that song, like, I had obviously heard that song before, but like their aesthetic is so strong, and their ability to make something feel nostalgic is so strong that someone in their mid-30s can watch something for the first time and feel that, It's truly incredible. I mean, say what you will about WWE production and Vince's, eccentricities with language, whatever else, but like, I'm constantly blown away by that. Anyone?
Interesting. Well, I mean, listen, he was, by the way, Simon Cowell produced that album, by the way.
Yes,
He
wow.
did. Yeah, he did. Little pitchy dog. But, no, I mean, it was, I thought it was...
Jackson, but okay.
I know it was. I did it on purpose. I knew it was. This was total garbage. No, I mean, it was just typical, Vince fodder. 92 to 95 WWF is very weird. It was, for someone like me who was watching consistently and grew up a WWF guy, it was very unnerving to see like the brand change and the guys change, and just seemed very... WrestleMania 9 was a weird show to begin with, and all the build and the hype and really Hogan in the middle and all this. It was very weird. It was very unnerving for someone who'd been watching since, at that point, almost 10 years to see. So the music was changing, and I mean, Vince had to kind of adapt. Mm-hmm. So it was dipping a toe in a different kind of pool,
So I'm going through 95 WWF right now for the first time. I've never really seen any of it, and it is jarring to watch.
It is.
It's very strange. They're in small venues, but there's still all the production tropes and everything, and there's all the piped in noise, but it's not in a big arena. It's in this glorified high school gym sometimes, and
they were resorts.
It's it's
crazy.
What was it? Fernwood? Fernwood, yeah.
Fernwood in Vermont, I think it was. or New York. I don't know where the fuck it was. Oh no, then there was one in Pennsylvania that they went to a lot. Yeah, Vince was definitely pinching pennies in 94, 95, 96, even early 96.
Yeah, very, very, very strange.
Yeah.
All right, so
Jenny won't watch 95 WWF until she sees Doink versus Mantar in the back of a truck.
Fuck yeah.
Well, sorry to derail us there.
No, that's what we're here for.
Oh, that's great. Oh, needed a frame of reference on that. I agree.
We have a Raw recap with the Mega Maniacs, and then Hogan comes out to do a promo to Money Inc. Any thoughts on this Hogan promo?
Very, very uninteresting. We can just skip right past this. Nothing to see here, everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. This was primo Hogan fucking insanity.
Well, he kind of builds up to it in this, because this isn't the crazy one yet, is it? Don't we get crazy later? Yeah.
I don't remember the other one. I remember the crazy one.
The crazy one the one that I was mentioning to you guys that on the chat when we were watching it that day was on Raw when he was talking about swimming with the sharks and the Caesars fucking fountain and riding dolphins and other fucking. Where was he going? What was he? I gotta look back at our chat. What the fuck was he saying? I was going to the something.
Well, that's the one we got, right? Where he gets
the sharks and the dolphins was on Raw. This was Shit, I gotta go back and look at it.
I have copious notes about the interview here.
Oh yeah,
he mentioned sharks too.
Yeah, that one comes after the match though that we see here. So,
okay.
Yeah, this is a kind of like a lead up to that crazy one he gives later. So the match ends up being Money Inc. versus Sabin and Riggins. Who the hell those are?
That's exactly right.
Yeah, good.
Reno Riggins? Reno Riggins is an awesome, memorable jobber. Reno Riggins. I don't know who the other fucking guy. I don't know who the other guy was. But.
Chris Sabin's uncle, Jerry Sabin.
Oh, you know who Jerry Sabin is? That's Italian Stallion. That's the guy that trained the Hardys.
I thought he looked familiar.
Yeah, the guy that ripped him off. Fucking scumbag. But that's the Italian Stallion in NWA. Yeah, that's right.
Well, the ECW watching has taught me that they were a bunch of fucking jobbers. Anyway, they get murdered in this little squash match. And Money Inc. wins. So, yeah. Any thoughts here? It's pretty cut and dry.
Complete squash against the Brothers Mullet for Money Inc.
Yeah.
IRS is an interesting character. What are our thoughts on IRS?
Well, let me tell you my thoughts on IRS. I watched the other night. I was watching 87 Crockett TV, and he has a match as Mike Rotundo. Just totally out of nowhere, he has a match in Techwood Studios with Dory Funk Jr.
Oh, God.
And it's incredible. It's a 15-minute time limit draw, but it's so bizarre just in that setting because it's so even for 87, it feels very outdated. Just the way they tie up and the grittiness that they're working on the mat and stuff, but it's an hour-long draw condensed into 15 minutes.
Weird.
And so Dory's moving the whole time, and they're just it's awesome. It's non-stop, and it's a lot of mat wrestling and stuff. But Dory, I don't know if he blades or what, but at one point Dory's bleeding, and it's awesome. It's so good. You guys should watch it. July 4th, 1987. WCW World Championship Wrestling episode. It's awesome.
I made a note. I might watch it. I fucking hate time limit draws, but
that's my thoughts on IRS.
All right. Any other thoughts on IRS?
It's tremendous.
Yeah?
Absolutely tremendous. Oh yeah. Well, Mike Rotundo's a good hand to begin with, but the IRS gimmick is fucking amazing. Although everybody used to say, why didn't anybody like choke him with his tie? Like no one ever choked, because baby faces didn't do that, but
right.
And his suspenders.
I was going to say the suspenders would probably be a good idea.
What do you think of the suspenders? What do you think of a guy wrestling in suspenders? What do you think?
I think
that's gotta be uncomfortable as shit. Wrestling in that stuff, dress shirt, tie, suspenders.
Like Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah.
He had sunglasses on.
Well, Mr. Hughes didn't really wrestle that much, you know.
Yeah.
he had narcolepsy.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
He was watching
I think
Dory Funk Time Limit Draws.
I think that led to. I think that led to him getting fired or something because they thought he was on drugs, but he was a narcoleptic because he would just pass out. You know.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Is that why he wore the sunglasses, just in case he fell asleep in the ring?
Just in case, yeah.
Interesting.
All right. So now here goes this fucking insane interview with the Megamaniacs with Mean Gene. Hogan tells this rambling fucking story that makes no sense, and he steals a motorcycle and then
a wide and glide
and then or something, yeah. Ends up in the ocean somehow. I don't know. He's like next level. I'm like I've never seen a promo like I
so great. So great.
Sniffing
the bushwhacks.
He says nasty mermaids. Nasty mermaids. Like, why is that a phrase that Hulk Hogan should ever be saying ever? Matt, I know you have thoughts.
Oh, yeah. So I knew that we were in for a treat with this promo when he comes out there and he calls Beefcake Brutus the Body Barber Beefcake Blood Brother. And then he talks about hair tonic seemingly endlessly.
No shock.
Then we go to Beefcake, who said Hogan was dropping Atlas V rockets straight down on his face, which I think is a sex thing and banned in a few states. And then after that, apparently Hogan had a smile on his face and a major pump on those pythons. So, you know, just going full bore with the innuendo here. Mm-hmm. And Beefcake said if Hogan did one more push-up, those pythons were going to blow them straight to the moon. At which point, I think Jimmy Hart fainted. He looked like he was going to have a coronary at this point. And we go back to Hair Tonic. This thing is fucking insane. You need to watch it.
It is fucking insane. And Brutus looks... he looks like a chicken. I don't know what his outfit is. Like, what? In some crazy-ass mask.
You got Hogan talking about filling a pool with saltwater, mermaids, hammerhead sharks. Good God. He cycled off the steroids and cycled on the blow.
Yeah, that was one of my notes. Like, this is entirely cocaine-fueled. Like, it's like a fever dream from a man just on an enormous high. You know?
I guess that's what bushwhacks mean. Bushwhack is. Brutus, go sniff the bushwhacks, which means go get the shit out of my luggage. Oh my God, it was tremendous.
Completely insane.
Oh, it was fucking great. I mean, it was either innuendo or code for we got to go to the Sapphire Club at the end of the night.
Something I don't know.
Oh my God, it was awesome.
No joke. I had to pause this promo about 4 or 5 times. Between taking notes or trying to regain my composure because I was losing it.
It was so great. So great. Sniffing the bushwhacks. What? Drew, is that a West Coast thing? What the fuck was he talking about?
It is.
Yeah. It's Southern California slang. Get with the times, everyone.
Brother.
My good friend here, Brutus the Body Beefcake Barber, blood brother, dude.
Blow, brother.
Blow, brother.
Blow, brother.
You know what's even better than Hogan talking about his own body is him talking about his friends' bodies.
That rings true for everyone, I think.
Brutus, the body barber, Rod the bod. Later on about Dennis Rodman.
Yep.
Yeah, Rod the Bod. All right. After that nonsense, we get a Superstars recap and then a Raw recap. Sean promo where he's standing in front of a green screen and it looks like a casino in the background. That was weird. Any thoughts on the Sean promo?
He'd get better at it.
Yeah, he was definitely very awkward.
He's another one that needed some blow. Yeah, Sean definitely was a little rough in the weeds here when it came to his promo cutting. He needed a little seasoning, that's for sure.
He kept doing that shifty eye thing, which annoys me a lot during promos. Like, I feel like you need to have a steady gaze. You know, like you're speaking into the camera. You can't do that shifty eye thing. It takes me out of it.
That's a real amateur move.
Yeah.
You watch guys, when they're just starting out, and that's what they do.
And I get it. I mean, it's not easy to do that.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either, but not everybody's Arn Anderson, I guess.
Damn right.
Sadly. So then we get George South versus Tanaka. Okay. Never heard of George South before.
Whoa.
Yep. Do I need to be smartened up?
Oh, yeah.
All right, smart me up.
Legendary JCP jobber. He was around the Mid-Atlantic territory for years and years. Still there today. I mistook him for... There was a picture posted a few months ago. It was like him and I think Luger, President Day, and I don't know, a couple of the other, Tully maybe, and Magnum. But I mistook him for Nikita Koloff.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Is it the mustache?
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know why I thought it was Nikita, but yeah, he would have every now and then, like Ric Flair would give him a really good match on TV or something. So
well,
he's a good wrestler.
Yeah, I didn't hate it here, you know. I want to say this might be my first Tanaka match, too.
Really?
I believe so. I'm not 100% on that, but it's the first I remember. I had Red Rooster flashbacks with his red streak in his hair. But he actually pulls it off a little bit better than Terry Taylor does. Imagine that.
It's not a high bar, admittedly.
It's really not.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's a quick little sprint. Not too bad. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not boring. Like it's good for what it is. Like a lot of these that we've seen tonight. Tanaka got the win, and then Sean comes out, and Tanaka taunts him, but they don't tie up, which I thought was interesting. Why didn't they tie up at the end of this match, Matt?
Well, you gotta save it for WrestleMania. You don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make them pay.
Not even a little bit of slapping or something. I don't know.
Slapping the bushwhacks.
But I guess you got all your slapping on George South's face during the match. What do you think about this one, Matt?
Yeah, it was fine squash. I mean, not pretty standard stuff.
Drew?
That's all I got.
Yeah, standard stuff. I was surprised to see George South on here, but I mean, look, he's a very good jobber. He knows how to take a beating, so yeah.
Scott, speaking of taking a beating, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, Tatanka was over at this time. Probably one of the most over baby faces in the company, no doubt.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I could have sworn for sure that he was winning the belt at Mania. I really thought he was. But yeah, solid worker. A good match. George South, good hand. I've said that a lot tonight, but when you have a good when you have good jobbers that can make the talent look great, that's why they stay employed for a long time.
Right.
George South is one of those guys.
All right, and then this next segment was a little weird because I guess it's not weird, but it's fine. But it's called the March to WrestleMania Report with Mean Gene, and it is sponsored by ICO Pro.
Yep.
Yes.
We see a big ICO Pro banner hanging up during all of these matches as well, so it kind of pumped me for that too. He runs down the card pretty much. There's a Bret Hart promo. I have a quote here, "You gotta want it," which I don't know who said that. I probably should have wrote that. I don't know what he was talking about. Maybe that's for ICO Pro. Yeah, that's probably what it is. The catchphrase.
Was that the slogan? Good
I think
God.
it was, yeah.
Yeah, it was. No, it's kind of rough.
Gotta want it.
Brother.
ICO Pro.
ICO Pro, get jacked.
Jacked. Let your arms look like rockets. Right, body beefcake.
Watch your testicles shrink before your eyes.
Anything interesting stand out here for you, Scott?
Well, I always love Mean Gene's reports because they're always awesome. It's just a standard way to get the show over. I mean, again, this was a big deal for Vince. It was his first Mania where Hogan was not the featured guy. I mean, the tag title match with Money Inc. was a big deal. I mean, don't get me wrong. But he needed to put over Bret Yoko as like the match of the show. No doubt about it.
Do you think Bret did that in his promo at all?
As good as he could.
Right.
We all know that Bret's not the best on the stick. But he did the best he could. And fans liked him. Kids liked him. He was popular. So it worked. But I always was a fan at the time of like Silent Yoko with Fuji doing the talking. I know he was earlier on, but it was a good report. It was, one last push for the 1 week push to get those final. I'm sure buy rates were not great at that moment, so hopefully they got a good push in those last 7 days. Because I'm sure people were a little skeptical about a show with mostly guys that they either never heard of or has-beens. So, like Bob Backlund. But he would revitalize his career a year later. But, again, the focus on all of the build on this show was for Bret and Yoko. That match had to get over as the main event.
Matt, did you have any ideas about this?
I would be remiss if I didn't mention the Crush interview on a boat.
Well, yes.
That was terrible.
I was getting to that, but yes.
He looked like a fucking beached whale trying to flop around like he knew what he was doing. Oh my God! I'm gonna go scuba dive now, and he looked like he was drowning.
The man attempts to do a Hawaiian accent.
It's so good.
Yeah, very very offensive to the people on the boat.
I'm not Hawaiian, and I was offended.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought it was hysterical.
I'm gonna crush you, brother, just like these octopus. What? What does that even mean?
I wrote that.
What does that mean?
Watch me put my scuba gear on, brother. And then he gets in the water and he looks like he got shot. Fucking hard. It's like he never got in the water before.
You know what? Props to this guy for the world's first snorkeling promo, because he literally dives under the water. I'm like,
the world's first snorkeling promo.
I mean, and his mullet is epic.
Oh yeah, no. Crush's mullet was because it was fluffy and dyed and
long,
frosted or whatever. That was fucking amazing. Yeah, it's not as nice when he turns heel.
When he comes out double fisting octopi.
Yes,
I fucking lost it.
Me too. Double fisting octopi. A sentence I never imagined I would say today, but here we are.
It's all right. It's like
truly
Hogan
is the end time.
double fisting beefcake. So.
It was fucking great. Like, great. I was like, thank God we watched this, not that other show.
Fisting the octopus.
And then that moves us into the Steiner's brief, thank God, promo, because it was bad.
Yeah, they were never stick work either. Well, Scott would be when he took the bushwhack about 8 years later. But yeah, no, they were not the best promo cutters either.
It's such a wide range of shit on here. Like Hogan being insane, Crush being insane, but then Bret Hart just being bleh, and then Shawn Michaels kind of bleh. It's just really, really odd. This mix of like, in what universe is a Crush promo better than Shawn Michaels?
That is true. My God. Shawn and Bret use a double fist the octopus.
Yeah, but like we found it. Like this is truly a hidden gem because we saw that. I have a note. Oh, okay. For this next match, in which Bobby is. I hesitate to call it wonderful because it's so fucking offensive, but also extremely funny. So the match is the Beverly Brothers with Little Louie versus the Bushwhackers with Tiger Jackson. And Bobby says, "See what happens when you quit working out." And Vince says, "What do you mean?" And Bobby says, "Isn't that Hillbilly Jim talking about Little Louie?" And I was like, dying from that. And then this match is unique, I guess. Like, are there a lot of things like this in WWE at this time? Is this normal?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Midgets kind of left kind of the scene probably in like 88.
That's what I was thinking, that it felt like this was extremely dated. Like I was like, we don't do this anymore, do we? But then everybody was so into it. Like the crowd was loving the shit, and I could see why. It's complete silliness, a complete comedy match in every way, and the audience ate it up. So what can you say? I mean, it did what it was supposed to do, and I did find it slightly uncomfortable a lot of the times, but I did laugh, especially when the ref and Louis toss Tiger back and forth when he tries to do the cover.
That is like the oldest fucking midget trope in the history of wrestling. Yeah. They do that every midget match in the history of the fucking world.
I kind of figured they did because it was like real. It looked like something like that, but I've never seen it. But so,
yeah,
like wow,
definitely, yep.
But I mean, towards the end of the show, and I'm just like, okay. I gave it 2 stars. I don't know. What did you think, Scott?
What?
I did. That's
the most upsetting thing that's been said in this podcast.
I can't believe.
But between Bobby and the crowd, and it was kind of entertaining. I had to give it 2 stars.
Oh my God.
I did.
Christ. Midgets were so fucking ugly too. They couldn't even get
yeah.
I mean, and a year later we would see both these midgets in other outfits. Why? God only knows. But yeah, this is just. I mean, I like the Beverly Brothers. That's the sad part.
They were fun to watch.
Yeah, and I tolerate.
Now, did you recognize them from the AWA show, Jenny?
Yeah, I did actually.
Ah,
Bad Company. No, not Bad Company. The Destruction Crew.
Destruction Crew. Yeah.
Bad Company was Tanaka and Paul Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
God, fucking.
Bobby's short jokes are just.
Oh, they're fantastic.
I mean,
nonstop.
He's got years of midget jokes.
Yes.
Years of midget jokes.
And like I said, I was so torn, but it was funny. I couldn't help it. Matt, did you laugh at the short jokes?
I laughed at a couple of things that Heenan said. Imagine licking the Fink's head. It would be like kissing a hospital mop. Was a good one.
That's so Bobby. That is so Bobby. I love that.
And look at Tiger Jackson's head. It looks like a cashew. But I think Heenan said it best when he said, I didn't understand anything I just saw. And that sums this up pretty well.
Sums it up.
This fucking match lasted 6 weeks.
What was the official time? It's probably
and this little Louis fella doesn't so much bump as he does crumple every time he sells. Crumple!
I just can't stop seeing, like, tiny hillbilly Jim. So, it's just...
And there was zero reason for this to be here. What are we doing?
Yeah, like...
None of these guys are going to be on Mania. Why not have the Steiners wrestle, the Head Shrinkers wrestle, something else instead of this? This was awful.
It was for the crowd.
Oh my God, 9:57.
Yeah,
it was the longest match of the night.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was almost
by far.
I don't think I've ever had to sit through a double-digit midget match.
That might be a typo because I think there's supposed to be a 7 in front of that 9 and 9:57.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ!
It was awful. It felt like it was going in slow motion. It really was.
If anybody besides me liked this match, it was Drew. What do you think, Drew?
Well, sorry to disappoint you.
I
mean, I like a lot of, bad
Weird
taste
shit.
in my wrestling, but I don't know, the little people stuff is kind of where I draw the line.
Really?
I don't know. It's just, yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, midget is an offensive term. Like you're not supposed to use that term.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
So I don't know. It's fine. I get it, but I don't know. I don't know. Whatever.
Whatever.
Drew, enough
I
of your
don't
pushback platitudes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I don't begrudge anyone from laughing, but
Midget was fine in 1993.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, yeah, that doesn't make it right.
Well,
Vince,
sure.
is anything he does ever made right? Yeah. Really? To think about it.
No, certainly not. But
he made an 85-year-old woman give birth to a hand. Nothing he does is right.
Sure, yeah, no. Of course not. But yeah, that's
JR's ass. I mean, come on.
Well, I'm very immature. All right. Can't believe it. We do a brief. I think it was pretty brief. The little recap from Rumble between what does my note say? Taker and Giant, yes. Okay, here we go. So we do that recap, and then we get as our main event, Bigelow versus Undertaker. I'm a Bigelow fan. I like Bigelow. How we feel about Bigelow?
I love Bigelow.
Right?
Same.
Always did.
Did he and Undertaker have a lot of matches?
No. I mean, I'm sure they had a decent amount of house show matches, but they never had a sustained feud. No.
I felt like this one was kind of a little bit special. Maybe a little one-off.
I mean, already 3 years into his career in that gimmick, and already Taker was in that rare. I mean, that's how awesome that gimmick is. Mm-hmm. And to this day, 3 years in, and already he's feeling, when you're in a match with Taker, you're in something special.
Yeah. That's how I felt, too.
Yeah, it's amazing.
The crowd is super into this. Paul Bearer's there looking creepy as fuck, as usual. I like this match. It was a good main event. I thought Bigelow looked pretty good. He just keeps unloading on Taker and then just can't keep him down. Obviously he keeps sitting up every time he feels like he's, kind of winning. But yeah, they play all this up really well. I really like it a lot. I gave it 3 stars.
Wow.
Yeah, I really did.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on this match, Matt?
Yeah, I really liked it. And like you said, Bam Bam basically hits Taker with everything he has, and Taker no-sells every single thing, making Taker look strong going into that Gonzalez match. But yeah, I liked it too.
Drew?
Yeah. I liked it. Like Scott said, Taker already has it felt like a main event, even on this small show. It had a main event feeling, and Bigelow's the perfect guy. I mean, he's so good, but he's so big, but he can move and bump, and the perfect guy to really make Undertaker look like a big deal going into a match against the only guy in the roster bigger than him at the point was Giant Gonzalez. So. Yeah, pretty awesome.
Scott, what do you think?
Oh, it's a Taker main event. It's awesome. Bigelow's tremendous. I don't think we knew what to expect going into WrestleMania IX against Giant Gonzalez. A lot of us knew who he was in WCW. Having said that, it's still Taker, and good main event. And I think Bigelow was a good choice to give Taker to end this show. Because he's big dude, and that's who Taker was working with at that point.
What do you think about Taker winning by countout?
Protects both of them. Protects Bigelow, even though he was supposed to be on the show. So we were assuming at the time he was still facing Kamala,
right?
And Taker, obviously, you're not going to have him job out, duh. So as much as it was kind of a cop out finish, you're used to that with these build shows,
right?
So. You don't get too upset about it. As long as it made everybody look strong. So that was the point.
And then at the end, Giant Gonzalez comes out. What are our thoughts about Giant Gonzalez?
El Gigante, you mean?
El Gigante, yes.
El Gigante.
An unfortunate wrestler. I would. You know what they need to put up as hidden gem though, is him and Flair did a house show loop together in 91 before Flair left, and supposedly they were 3 3/4 matches, 3 3/4 star matches.
What?
I would love to see some of those.
I would too.
That's like 12 stars for anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
That's crazy.
All he was supposed to stand there at the end and just stand there with his arms open, and then he does.
Well, just to give you some background, Jenny, on him, and Souza knows this. I'm pretty sure you do too, Drew. El Gigante was drafted by the Atlanta Hawks, who Ted Turner also owned a piece of. He was a basketball player in Argentina, and he got hurt a lot, and he wasn't really working out. He was kind of clumsy, but Ted Turner put so much money on this guy, they're like, well, I can't just fucking let him go and eat, the millions that I paid as, for the contract he signed and the draft pick. Well, shit, I got this WCW thing.
Yeah, let's let him wrestle.
You're kind of big and big and stuff.
Dumb.
Big and dumb.
You're big and nope, you're just big.
You're just big. We'll put you in a regular tights and you'll look fine. Vince goes, you know what the best thing about putting this guy on? Airbrush nipples. There you go. We get the suit. But, he was a basketball player that the Hawks drafted that Ted owned, realized the guy was clumsy as fuck, and, Vince or Ted kind of made him a wrestler because he needed to get back the investment of signing him to the NBA deal and sucking. So that's where El
And then he realized he was clumsy as fuck in the ring, too.
Fuck yeah, he's clumsy, period. And sadly, his life ended. He was in a wheelchair, and it was rough.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, he was. He was in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Oh, that's too bad.
He was I don't want to say he was a preacher, but he was very popular in his village or town in Argentina, but he had issues walking at the end of his life.
Sure.
But I mean, at the time, he was a typical, Sue's typical WWF guy that Vince could go, oh, I Oh, yeah. Needs real muscles. Airbrush the nipples.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This guy doesn't have any muscles. Well, paint him on.
Paint him on, for Christ's sakes. What do I pay you for? Jesus. Look at that shit on Bigelow's head. Give him that. You know? So, yeah. That's really what it was he was a failed basketball player that Ted Turner had to do something with the money he spent. So.
Well, Bobby and Vince close us out with Vince posing the question, does Bobby have a tail? Because all weasels have tails. And then Bobby bends over and sticks his ass in Vince's face. While Vince is trying to run down the card. So, that was a fun way to leave it. And a really fun show to watch. Before we get to our words, any final thoughts about this?
It was great.
This is a great show. I mean, I'd say potentially like the second best show that we've done, just in terms of effectiveness and watchability and fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And it's like like an hour and a half, something like that.
Yeah,
like
it's short. It's an easy watch. It accomplishes its goal. It's funny, fun. There's some, good little wrestling in there. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this, I'm going to be honest. And spoiler alert, next you hear from us, we will be doing something similar to this. So listen for that. Let's give out some awards. How about it? The Diamond Award for our favorite match. I went with Bigelow versus Undertaker.
I agree. Although, I want to give a little shout out to Perfect and Skinner, too.
Yeah, I really did like that, too.
Yeah, that was mine.
I went Taker Bam Bam.
All right. Cubic Zirconia for least favorite match. I think gonna have to do the Money Inc. Sabin and Riggins squash.
I got to go with that sixth man with the little people.
Okay.
Okay, Drew? Did I say it right? Is it little people now?
Yes.
Dwarf doesn't work anymore, right? They're not called dwarves. I don't know. That left in the 70s.
Were they ever called that?
Oh, yeah, in the 70s, before midget. They were dwarves.
That sounds wrong.
Yeah. Isn't that imaginary?
Yeah.
Now, if they were called elves, that's even worse. No.
What are we doing?
Yeah, no, that match is terrible.
And long.
It was
long. Yeah.
The hottest of hot trash.
Yeah, big time.
Well, whatever. Ruby Award for the MVP, Bobby fucking Heenan.
Always is.
Always.
Yep. Sticking his ass in Vince's face. so fucking
funny.
good. It was so good.
I was tempted to go Hogan just because of how fucking absurd that promo is. But I went with...
What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, Bobby Heenan. You know what's part of his genius is he says these absurd things all night long, and then at the very end when Vince says, hey, do you have a tail? Trying to kind of play along with him and play into his shtick. Bobby makes him feel stupid. Because he goes, what? What are you talking about? And totally shuts him down.
Yeah.
It's so great. But then gives him just a little bit at the end and bends over.
Yeah. What a
master.
Oh yeah. He's
so good.
He's amazing. A couple of highlights. Okay. So that Hogan absurd promo. Yoko just being badass in general. Reverend Slick, I really enjoyed his worship from the ring. I thought that was a lot of fun. And Mean Gene with his March to WrestleMania report. kind of like a weird little package there in the middle of the show. What are your highlights? Those are the Opal Awards. What do you got for those, Scott?
Taker, just being Taker in the main event. Bobby's expert announcing, Hogan's whatever, and as much as the Duggan part of it annoys the shit out of me, the WrestleMania video was pretty cool. I thought it was a nice way to pump up, like the season and the show.
WrestleMania.
There you go,
excuse me.
WrestleMania.
What do you think, Drew?
Yeah, the WrestleMania video was a big one for me, and Undertaker's aura and presence.
Mm-hmm.
Again, 3 years into his career, like Scott said, and on a pretty rinky-dink show like this, and is still able to totally capture that vibe. Mm-hmm. That's really impressive. And the Lex Luger
damn
video.
it. I wondered if he would do that.
You knew he was going.
Of course.
Is that one on your list, Maddie?
No, not quite. Just missed. But if you watch nothing else from this show, watch that fucking Hogan promo. Yes. My God. Yeah. And Savage getting squashed in the match with Yoko was a huge deal that ended up doing a lot for Yoko, of course. And this show made me want to watch WrestleMania IX, which is a hell of an accomplishment. If you know how WrestleMania IX turns out.
I don't, so should I watch it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can. I mean,
WrestleMania 9.
Yeah, don't listen to us. Clean canvas. Okay. Don't listen to us.
All right. Well,
clean canvas.
I mean,
listen.
I trust you guys.
That's a pretty good show.
Well, Drew said it, so I believe it.
It's not all time bad, but it's not. Yeah. But it's not good.
It's not good. No, it's better than its reputation.
Yeah.
Well, y'all know my
taste.
2 years later,
you know
what I mean? Y'all know what I like, so would I be?
You'll enjoy it. Okay. Then you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
You'll enjoy it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, a mission accomplished. Then I'm gonna go to sleep to WrestleMania 9 tonight, while the world burns, and I guess we should probably talk about what else we've got going on. Drew, you want to talk about your social media presence, your shows, anything else?
Sure. I am on Twitter at _Burning Spirits, and a You Don't Know Billy Jack episode dropped a week or so ago. This one was covering the January 20th, 1997 match between Mitsuharu Misawa and Kenta Kobashi. Mm-hmm. That was a fun episode, and I believe our last All Japan match that we're doing. So check that out.
What about you, Matt?
Well, last week or the week before, I recorded a new podcast coming soon to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed.
Ooh.
Hosted by Andy Atherton. It's the Great Debate Wrestling Edition. Mm-hmm. And his first guests were myself, Mr. Tim Capel, and Mr. J. Arsenio Diamato.
Jesus. What a lineup.
That's literally like the Bushwhackers and the Little People right there. That's variety for you right there.
Who's the little people in that?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Sorry, Maddie.
I mean, I am pretty short, so I guess I'll take it. But
I'm looking forward.
Not sure when that's going up. I don't have a date on that, but keep an eye out for that. And as always, check out the weekend playlist. Goes out every week, every Friday. It's music for your weekend listening. We put it on Spotify. We have the Apple playlist there, so check that out. And you can follow me on Twitter at msouza1991.
Scott?
I have a shit ton of shows. You can follow me on Twitter at PTBPodfather. But I do want to, amongst all the great shows, Place to Be Podcast, of course, here on the wrestling feed. The last episode, Jenny, this is not your first WrestleMania or pay-per-view build show that you've done.
No.
You joined Mr. Rozzero and I for the SummerSlam 90 Fever, which was awesome.
It was awesome.
Very different than this show, right? Not a ton different, but a little different.
The format is the same, and I really like this format for somebody like me. But yeah, that Fever show was one of like my most favorite things I've ever watched. Well, I know that sounds so weird, but it was just, it was perfect. Yep. Almost. Yep. For what
you're going to be our build girl on the Place to Be podcast.
I like Edge Girl better, but that's fine.
You want to be the Edge Girl? You be the Edge Girl.
All right.
Edging girl.
You think you know her?
You think you know her? You think you know her? But thanks to, speaking of you, and a little test you did this evening, next week, now that it officially will be the WrestleMania preview episode of Place to Be Nation's main event, myself, the Godfather Nate Milton, and Mr. Steve Willie, we will be doing a live stream episode of the main event. We should be starting, I'll confirm the time and put it up on Twitter, and I might do a pod blast this week to let everybody know, but I think we're going to shoot for 9 o'clock Eastern time on next Thursday night, and get you ready for the following week, whatever the fuck is going on. Whatever the hell it's going to be.
Well, just a little direction about the live stream, because like you said, I learned that tonight, and it's new for us. So for the listener, all you have to do is follow the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed on Podbean, and you should get an alert when the show goes live, and then you will have the option to type in questions, comments, whatever, and it's all in real time. So they will be recording as they read your comments and can respond to you. So it's very interactive and really fun. So I hope you guys can pull that off and join in on that preview show. Yes. It should be quite the thing.
Yes, it will be. So thank you, Jenny. And yes, please, again, we'll promote it throughout the week. And 9 o'clock Eastern time, myself, Nate Milton, Steve Willie, we will be doing a live stream WrestleMania preview episode of the main event. Usually it's a mega show. We do the Hall of Fame and Takeover, but we know for the most part it seems like they're going to push the Hall of Fame to August, SummerSlam weekend, if that's happening before the apocalypse.
Right.
I don't know what the Takeover Tampa situation is. I don't know if that's melted or what the fuck's going on there, but whatever else is going on that weekend, we'll talk about. So be ready, 9 o'clock Eastern time, next Thursday, the 20 what's tomorrow? 19th, the 26th, and get out there and give us your questions, your comments. We'll definitely read them on the air as we're going along. So that'll be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
but check out all the show.
Yeah, I should be able to join in on that one. So looking forward to it.
That'll be great.
So you can listen to my attempt at the first live show on the Jenny Position feed on Podbean. I'm going to post that in the morning, but it was just very, really just an experiment. I had several friends on there. Justin was on there. Brother Nate was on there. A couple of my girlfriends called in, which was fun. One of them had never been on a podcast before. Tim called in, Logan, Callum McDougall. So a lot of weirdness, and we talked what our quarantine watch lists were. So a lot of people had thoughts about what they're going to be binging during this time stuck at home. And we talked our favorite Ninja Turtles, which are not called Ninja Turtles in where Callum is from. They were called Hero Turtles, which is funny. And which I probably shouldn't have told y'all that because I thought it was pretty funny on the show. But anyway, that's like a short little pod blast listen, like 40 minutes. And it's very free form and not very official. But check that one out. And I'll let you guys know about more live streams that I do. You can also hear me on the new edition of Talkin' Pop from this week where Tim and I we got bombed, yo. We got really shit-faced drunk, and we talked about Netflix's reality show called Love is Blind. Really fun to break that down and discuss it with him, because I've been dying to do that for a couple weeks. On the North-South Connection podcast feed, you can listen to me on that. You can hear Extreme Three-Way Dance on that. We just did 3 episodes of TV, hardcore TV, from the end of 1994. So that's a good show. Check that one out. What the fuck else have I been doing? The Sassies should be a thing soon on the Jenny Position feed. That's Geek and Sassy. That's our award show for last year. We do a bunch of categories. So hopefully that should be up. And that should be enough. That's plenty for me. Although I probably am leaving out something. So, stay safe. Hopefully by the time this comes out, another horrible thing hasn't happened. And we could find some sort of normalcy in this. I don't know if that's possible, but I hope it is. And I hope that people can stay safe and stay sane and stay at home.
In the World Wrestling Federation, Tatanka will be successful. Hey, ever since I was a little bitty boy, I wanted to do one thing and one thing only, and that's to be a law enforcement officer. Treat other people like you'd want to be treated. Try to walk the straight and narrow, because that's the only way you're going to survive in this life. Who will survive? Down your throats all through 93. And let me tell you something, boys. I am the World Wrestling Federation champion. The excellence of execution is on top. There's a new gun in town. I made a vow to become a law enforcement officer. See these handcuffs right here? They're an instrument of justice. The big boss man is law, order, and justice of the World Wrestling Federation. Who will survive? Coming at ya, so pick it up. Yo, you better catch ya. The bad boys are back on the block. Tip off the top, we won't be stopped. When no one improved and got the